I've been waiting for this for quite a while. And yep, it's the new Babolat Pure Aero. Wow. I'm sure you've seen some of the players starting to use this racket, and now I'll have a chance to try it out myself. First thoughts on the design. I can see they've gone for like the grey, the black, the bright neon yellow and the white. Wow, what a beauty. A slight change from the previous design where it was a lot more yellow dominated. They've gone for this kind of urban theme, almost looks like a graffiti style writing on it. It's not as striking, I'd say, as the previous version of the Pure Aero that I've been using, but it's certainly visible and yeah, it looks very modern.
And modern it is. The Aero promises to be packed with some pretty impressive innovations, one of which is their NF² technology, engineered to reduce vibrations by placing vibration dampening strips in strategic areas within the frame itself. We also have the FSI spin technology, carried over from the last model, with those wider grommet holes enabling the strings to move more freely at contact. And the Aero Modular 3 system, integrating the bumper and grommets for a more aerodynamic frame. This racket is famously used by Rafael Nadal, of course, with his own paint version, and Carlos Alcaraz, who uses the VS version with a slightly thinner frame and smaller head size.
I can see that the grommets have also become a lot more tightly spaced, so they're not as wide, so the grommets have been squeezed in to give you a little bit more control, and it's supposed to bring the Pure Aero back to its original roots.
So let's look at this in more detail. You'll hear a lot of players talk about the open string pattern versus the dense string pattern, and it simply means how many strings are present on the string bed. So an open string pattern could be like a 16-18, where you have 16 mains and 18 crosses. The spaces between the crosses and the mains, the squares that you have here, are quite big. Now a dense string pattern would be like an 18-20. You now have two extra mains, which would be the 18, and then you also have two extra crosses, which would be the 20. This results in smaller squares and a lot more string present on the string bed. And the thinking behind it is, the more string you have, the more grip you have on that ball, the more interaction between the string and the ball you have when it lands, and therefore potentially can give more spin. But I find that not to be the case, because the bigger the squares, the more each individual string can impact the ball, and therefore has more potential to create that spin. And I find that for a flatter hitter, a more dense string pattern would be more suitable. So it's an interesting decision for Babolat to make this a denser string pattern, but they did it very cleverly. They did it without incorporating more string. They simply brought the strings in and made it more dense in the middle. So if we have a look at my previous version of the racket, so we have the 2019 Aero. If we put the new Aero over the front of it, we can see that this wide string here, where the old Aero had a string here, it almost feels like there's a string missing. And the same thing happens here at the bottom. So if we look at the old Aero compared to the new Aero, the string bed is very, very different. So that all the strings have been moved, have been compacted into the middle. And that could increase your sweet spot, perhaps will increase your feel, but I'm not sure that it will add more topspin. Only a playtest will tell, which I'll do shortly. And yes, I do have a pink grip on my racket, so if you like it, press the like button under the video. Make sure, guys, that you've subscribed to this channel for more reviews, more unboxings, more lessons to come in the future. Make sure you press that notification bell as well, so you don't miss out on future lessons. Now, what I also notice in the new design of the racket is they don't seem to be promoting the Cortex anymore. Now, most of you will remember the famous Cortex system that they brought in, which used to be in the throat of the racket in their previous versions. I know in the 2019 version, they scrapped that idea, so no longer did they have the Cortex in the throat. They incorporated it inside the frame, but now they have something called the NF² system, and I wonder if that's the same technology of the Cortex, if they simply replace the Cortex with that NF² system, because it doesn't seem to be mentioned anywhere on the racket about the Cortex. We've still got the woofer system, but nothing about the Cortex. And nothing also on the Babolat website. So I wonder if that's just a new fancy name of calling it that.
It's a 100 square inch head, so it's still the same head, 300 grams in weight. And I can also see that on the specs of the racket that they've made it a little bit more flexible. So it's a 69 flexibility rating from the 71 before. We can also see that the swing weight is changed to 290 from the usual 320. Now this is an unstrung model, so I assume it's still the 320 that we know from before, but when you put the strings in, that racket's obviously going to feel a little bit heavier in the hand. It still has that triangular aero modular beam that's so famous with Aero, helping that racket fly through the air quicker. So that's still present, still the Aero that we know, but just an updated one. What do you guys think? I like it. It'd be interesting to see how it performs on the court, and of course I will do a full play test and review for you shortly. So now I'm going to leave you with some close-up shots of the racket, let you see exactly what it looks like, and let me know in the comments below whether you already use this racket, are you thinking of upgrading to this racket, and what you think of the design. And of course that play test coming soon.